welcome back, guys. This is the final segment of my Sunday edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. And I've been hanging out with Robert Wilcox, Robert K. Wilcox. And I want you to go to his website and check out his entire collection of books that he's written, because there's a vast array of them. But if you only have money to buy one, if you can only afford to buy one book right now, make it Target Patton, so you can sit back and you could listen to the show, as a replay, kind of like an addendum to the book, because there's no way you could cover the vast amount of information in his book in a 2-hour show. I would need like 7 or 8 hours with Robert, and he'd probably, there would be no point in him having a book then. So go get the book, physically hold it. Keep it in your hands. He's got the paperback edition, which is, you said it's a revamp. There's some more new, updated information in there.
Yes. Yeah, it's got a new chapter on it with some really strong stuff that had not come to me until after the book was published, because you will get people who say, yeah, here's some more information that I knew, old veterans and that kind of stuff. It's interesting stuff. The website is www.robertkwilcox.com, or you can go to Amazon and put my name, Robert K. Wilcox, in there. I wanted to just emphasize what Patton was up against and how close we came to being taken over by the Russians. And think about this. For those of us that wonder what the heck is going on in our own administration, are we close? Think about this for a second. FDR had Henry Wallace his first 2 terms. On his 3rd term, he got rid of Wallace, and he put in Truman. But if he hadn't have done that, FDR died 2 or 3 months after the election. Wallace would have taken the presidency, and Wallace has written and said that he was going to put in his cabinet Dugan, who was now second at State, and Harry Dexter White, second at Treasury. We would have had 3 communists who Venona papers show us that they were communist agents. Well, Wallace, we don't know if he was an agent, but he was sure a dupe for them. This would have been a president with all these advisors. Think of today with the czars that our president has, and we don't even know where he comes from, although we have our opinions. I have my opinions. But if that had been the case, I don't know that we would have the America that we were fighting to save today. But anyway, that's what you were looking at, and Venona papers prove all of this. McCarthy was right. Our government was riddled with communists, and they were trying to take us over, and that's what Patton was facing. I think I wanted to tell you that this accident, quote accident, that Patton suffered, that I think was which I'm convinced was a hit on him, that wasn't the first time anyone had tried to kill him. There are at least 3 other that we know of, earlier attempts. On one, if you ever saw the movie Patton, you saw this ox cart come out and nearly hit him. Well, that's based on fact. On May 3rd, 1945, there was a near decapitation. It wasn't an ox cart, but it was an ox cart that came out. He was in a Jeep, and it had a scythe on it, and that's one of those big things that cuts wheat down. The Soviets, I believe, that's part of their emblem. And that thing nearly decapitated him. He didn't care. He also had another Jeep accident in October 1945, in which he was he was in a Jeep, and something hit him, and he survived that one. He wasn't hurt badly. But the most interesting to me is that on April 20th in 1945, just as the war was ending, his little plane that he used to fly around in, he had a little plane he would fly to his different commands and so on. It was attacked. It was attacked by 4 Spitfires. And if this wasn't a classic assassination attempt, I don't know what was. These Spitfires, and flown supposedly by Polish fighters who made a mistake and thought they were going to shoot down a German, they circle on top of this little plane that he's in, and one of them dives down and starts attacking this little plane. And if it wasn't for the skill of the pilot that Patton had, he would have been dead. But the pilot was so good that he was able to hug the ground and go down around some hills, and the attacking Spitfire actually crashed. And when they got back on the ground, and the other guys fled then, and by the way, the Soviets had taken control by then of Poland. So these supposed Polish Spitfires given to the Russians by the British were, in my mind, Russian flown, or at least communist flown. And when they got back on the ground, and you could find this in Patton's diaries, he says, "What the hell happened?" It actually shook him up so much. He was going to take a picture of the plane attacking him. He just forgot to take the lens camera top off. But he knew something had happened, and his aides were livid, and they were going to find out what the heck's going on. Well, there's no reports about that either. And I had to go to, I didn't go there, I had to get in touch with a Polish, basically the Top Gun of Poland, and ask them about this, and they said there were none of their planes in the area at that time.
And that was an assassination method back then, because that's how we took out Yamamoto, the architect of Pearl Harbor, the invasion of Pearl Harbor. We shot his plane
that
out of
happened
the sky.
exactly right.
So it's not, it's not like that wasn't something that they wouldn't do.
Well, absolutely not. And for that matter, assassination by vehicle accident was also commonplace in those days. And it was Stalin's favorite method of killing people. He actually engineered a couple of them when he killed some of his own people by these fake car accidents. Car accident was great because you could always when Bazada said when the bolt hit Patton, it fell down, and nobody knows that it's not a bullet, it's a bolt, and they think it's from the car accident. Same thing happens in any kind of car accident situation. You just have a pile of junk there. Nobody realizes anybody was killed at it. And if you don't kill the guy, he goes to the hospital, and you kill him there where it's much easier to kill. So that was the comment at that time. I'm trying to think of what I haven't covered. Besides, I haven't covered anything in depth because you'll find all
it's
that.
Better for them to go get the book, because there's no way in 2 hours, we'd still be in we'd be in the third chapter right now. Yeah, you're better off getting the book because you put so much effort into it. There's no way that you could one radio show could even get it out. I got to tell everybody, you have to get this book because there's just so much more to it, and there's more on Wild Bill Donovan. There's more about everything. It's just what you're going to see. If you think what you already know about this, the corruption that is rampant in the government and history, if you think you already know hidden history, you don't know nothing yet. And like I was saying to Robert during one of the breaks, if we know this stuff, through Robert's hard work and other and family members of these people like Skubik's son and others, and you get all these people coming together to get the truth out. That's the only place you're going to get it, is out of books like this, because the official government's theory and story is that he got in an accident, died, and he got in an accident and then died of complications in the hospital is what they say, which is not true. It's just the evidence does not point to it. And when you you were saying, Robert, there's no car accident reports. There's none of that. And then that there was this NKVD plot to kill him. In fact, you were saying Stalin liked to use cars as an assassination method. Bandera was killed in the 50s, and I believe it was via a car. No,
it wasn't. He was killed in one of those injections where they inject you with something and it mimics a heart attack.
Oh yeah, that was.
And then it disperses, so they can never find out what happened.
Yeah, he was killed that way, and then there was somebody else that was involved.
Exactly.
You said was it was very.
No,
shady.
there was one of Stalin's, a couple of those, and there was a famous prelate in one of the Orthodox churches who was making a lot of saying bad things about the Soviets, and he was killed by a car accident, exactly like I think that's the one you're thinking of. Let me finish by saying that I believe that if you took all the evidence that I've amassed to a grand jury, we would get it. I don't think there's any question there would be an indictment. Now, as to the trial, the reader has to make up that decision himself, because that gets down to the nitty-gritty. And each aspect that I've touched on here, there's a lot more detail, especially the accident, when you really look at it in the way it really happened, as opposed to what people say happened and what they speculate happened. It's all speculation.
Yeah, it's super important, guys, like I said, to get his book and read the book and have a physical copy of it. Robert, thank you for coming on the show. It has been a pleasure.